Intelligence is your ability to make distinctions. So let's increase your intelligence when it comes to intimacy so that you can not only create it, but maintain it in your relationships. For all intents and purposes, we're going to define intimacy as this. It's your knowing the person. It's how well you know the person. In other words, the more intimate you are with your partner, the more you know your partner. Now, you've probably mistaken intimacy for arousal or turn on. When you ask the question, how do I create intimacy in my relationship? But actually, what you mean is how do I create arousal in the relationship? Now, when you make the distinction between the two different things, you've increased your intelligence. So let's talk about how can you increase your intimacy and how can you increase your arousal. But not only that, how to maintain both. So for you to build intimacy, it's a beautiful, wonderful thing, and it's a very, very important thing to do. And guess what? Just like much of what we talk about in the Great Relationships University, it's a skill. Is that not a surprise? It's a skill to build intimacy, and it's also a skill to build arousal or to turn your partner on, and it's a skill to create, make, and maintain love. You're probably surprised if that's the first time you've heard that, but not surprised when you follow me and know me already. So how do you create and maintain, build and maintain intimacy? But why is it important? Why should I care, Roan, if to build intimacy, to maintain intimacy? The reason why is because intimacy creates that connection that you want. It creates a connection that's necessary for you to maintain an amazing relationship, to create an amazing relationship and to maintain an amazing relationship that has an incredible connection. Looking at my time here. Perfect. I've got plenty of time. So, to build intimacy, by definition, which is how much you know about the person, you must, number one, facilitate an environment, a relationship, where the dynamic exists, and the dynamic maintains non-judgmental acceptance. Now you have to facilitate that because it's not something that's automatic. What's automatic is the death knell of every loving relationship. You should know that by now. The death knell of every loving relationship is being and feeling taken for granted, or in better terms, taken as granted in the relationship. Now, you've heard me talk about that, and we'll revisit it some other time, perhaps again. I do like to propagate the same messages over and over so you can get it. You have to facilitate non-judgmental acceptance, which is you're accepting the person for who they are completely as they are, without any judgments, and you accept them for who they are. Therefore, they're feeling non-judgmentally accepted. How do you know you've facilitated an environment where you are non-judgmentally accepting? Is when you and your partner feel you are non-judged and accepted. How do you do that? It's a mindset. I can tell you all the different actions and techniques and mannerisms that demonstrate non-judgmental acceptance. But quite simply, for you to facilitate that is just a mindset. And it's the mindset of to be accepting, to be completely accepting, has to mean that you are non-tolerating. To be non-tolerating is to say that things you do not tolerate, you will not accept. When you can communicate that in the relationship and demonstrate it, what that means is that things that you do accept, your game. It means that things you do accept, you accept wholeheartedly. By communicating that you don't tolerate things, ensures that the person feels that what they do engage in the relationship, and when you demonstrate you accept it, they feel accepted. Because they know that if you were non-tolerating about it, you will let them know. Do you understand? To be non-judgmental, non-judgmentally accepting, is to recognize that each individual person is an individual completely. Full stop. Nothing more, nothing less. They are an individual. Even siblings who are raised with the same values and same code of ethics have different realities, different preferences, major difference, enough difference to consider, to ask them, hey, what sort of things are you into? More so for strangers, especially for people who are completely different, raised in different environments as you. So you treat them as an individual. You maintain relationships where there are rules for individualism. I like to propagate my book because that's the only way, one of the only ways that you'll truly understand how to facilitate this sort of things. Number 2 is to experience more. How do you build, create, and maintain intimacy? Experience more. The more things you experience together, the more things you connect with and you build rapport with. And then you can say that you've now accumulated historical data, it's called historical data in your brain, of things that you've connected on, that you've associated together with. Now, I'm gonna leave that alone for now because I only have 3 minutes to talk. You have to manage expectations always in order for you to prevent the death knell of every loving relationship being and feeling taken for granted. For you to prevent that, you have to manage expectations. Because when a relationship has gone on long enough and you're experiencing more and more things together, what ends up occurring is that couples, partners, end up being and feeling taken for granted. You have to prevent that, and we'll go over that in different talks. So let me make the distinction. I've got 2 minutes. What I actually meant was, how do you build arousal? Intimacy, sure, but how do you build arousal? Perfect question. Intelligence is your ability to make distinctions. So if you want to build arousal, you must recognize that what that person's into. You have to communicate what you're into. Be comfortable and confident about communicating that. Confidence is what you know to be true. Therefore, the more you know yourself, the more you know you, the more you can communicate what you're into. The more you discover more about them, and the more you ask better questions, and the more genuinely curious you are about them, and they feel you are genuinely curious, the more they will divulge information with you when they feel they are non-judgmentally accepted. And remember, you can't fake a fetish. Let's say you're into things that they may not be into. Well, this is why I propagate the open relationship style model of relationships, because you can't fake a fetish. You can't force somebody to be into things you're not into. The more you do that, the more you'll be in despair and agony and suffering in your relationship. Which is why in my relationship I say, we can't be into the same things. The things that we're into, fantastic, we align. The things we're not into, I encourage you to pursue other people who are into those things, and I'm happy for it. That's all for now. I'll see you in the next video. Share this with people and leave a comment if you have any questions. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.